Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman29, and I thought I'd come out and reply to KIKAI93. And I really love New Testament criticism, and I just wanted to say I think John Marcus did an excellent job, and you yourself have done an excellent job. Not too sure why you'd spend so much time replying to Cobain the Christian. I don't think that his reply to your video did you justice. Had you been a creationist, you would have had a lot more effort put into his responses, which is very sad indeed. I just wanted to say that I see what I'm thinking about right now is as far as New Testament criticism is I see two parties: those for an agenda and those against the agenda. Those who may be kind of critical of religion and critical of certain ideas are going to exaggerate the influences and things. However, the those who are in support of are going to minimize the influence and criticism leveled against the New Testament text. In reality, there's no such thing as pure culture. Everybody borrowed from everybody, and it's evident across the wide range of works of literature that's out there. And this is the danger that people run into just doing quick Google searches. They lack the knowledge of the large body of literature and the ability to do better comparisons and better motif comparisons and themes. It's important to be objective about things and notice the similarities between cultural motifs if they exist in literature, and then discuss them. Not that one has to be right or the other side has to be right. That's one of the issues. Another issue is I don't believe that biblical scholars have enough understanding of Jewish literature and how it was laid out and formatted. A lot of people, they quote Josephus and they quote a lot of the sayings of the early church fathers, and they quote a lot of, not that the early church fathers were all Jewish writings. What I meant was the Jewish fathers, the sayings of the Jewish fathers, and they quote all this literature. However, a lot of them never sat down and read through the volumes and volumes. I have been through most of that, and it took me a long time to read a lot of that literature. And from what I'm seeing is that I've heard almost every hypothesis about the New Testament. There's a Lukean priority, Markian priority, and many different ideas on how that composition would go together. The Gospel of Q was thought by critics to not exist to those who supported religious belief systems, and those against them would say that one did exist. However, we have the Gospel of Thomas, which came out with the sayings of Jesus in Gnostic format, so we think that some of that may have existed, but has just not been found, which is really hard to find text in that time period because the Romans were on a campaign of stomping out religious literature. They would wrap the Jews in their Torahs and burn them in the streets at times, and also during the forced Greek Hellenization period during the Greek I forgot his name, Epiphanes IV, and you can Google that just for the name. Anyways, he's talked about in the text of Maccabees 1 and 2, and also other writings that came out, Maccabees 3, I believe, where it talks about torture devices being used, Zeus set up in the temple, and Jews who would not eat pork or call the king God. Same happened in the Roman era. Using just partial parts that may be relevant to Christianity from Jewish literature is a sad thing, because it totally skews the context in which the Jewish literature was written and the Jewish format. A lot of people just use Josephus and the writings to prove something in Christianity. However, it's a beautiful piece of literature. Yes, it was written from the Roman point of view, possibly by a traitor who elaborated extensively. However, it's in the format that Jewish literary works were written in. There was a lot of that going on. A lot of agada or stories formatted for that reason, and big long speeches that may have never been said were put in to make the literature more readable and to get across the message behind the message. After reading Josephus' Wars of the Jews was the first time that I looked at the New Testament literature from a different point of view. And so I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to encourage people and armchair scholars and maybe even scholars who are out there to look at it more objectively and understand the agendas. So yeah, the early church fathers did have an agenda in furthering the proto-Orthodox movement and Orthodox movement. However, it should not be exaggerated to where everything they wrote is a complete lie. Same thing for the gospel text. Even in the Old Testament, texts were attributed to writers who did not write them. It's very common for that to happen, and it was a writing format to do that. And so it's no different in the New Testament. Now there are some out there who are of the hypothesis and of the belief that maybe some of these people actually did write who the Gospel's attributed to. So there's many ideas, and I think that in order to see it all through that, one needs to be seeped in the literature to be able to understand these influences and notice them, and not be quick to make any decisions, definite decisions, and be ready to change as new research is found through not only literary critique, but through archaeology and extra sources that are out there on Roman history and Greek history and how it all, and ancient Near Eastern history, on how it all combines. There's no such thing as pure culture. Everybody borrowed, so yes, you're going to see a lot of Egyptian influences, a lot of Babylonian influences, a lot of Assyrian, Hittite, Roman influences in New Testament literature. So I just wanted to say that note of caution. I love the debate going on, and I kind of wish that Cobain, the Christian, would have put a little bit more effort into it, since he seems to be up on evolution. I think if he would have put a little more work into the replies to Kikai 93, who did a lot of hard work in composing the videos, it would have been much better and much more respectful. Take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.